Welcome back, everybody. It is 2024, and we are here today. I'm with Steph Spading. Welcome, Steph.
Thank you.
Steph and I are going to talk about the market trends and what to expect in 2024. There is a lot to talk about, so we're going to dive right in. Welcome back, Steph.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
We just came off of our annual event with the Dinah Realty, and it was something else, wasn't it?
It was spectacular.
Such
It really
an amazing day. And I thought, you know, what was interesting, as Sherry Schmid was visiting with us, is we're going to see an increase in the market transaction work we're going to be dealing with in 2024, up 15% from last year.
Wow, that was an impressive number.
It really was. What do you think the reasoning is behind that?
I think so. Something else that Sherry said was just seeing a lot more stability this year in the marketplace, both with the economy and just the housing market in general. And I think that those two things go hand in hand.
It really is an interesting time right now because we have a dynamic city in the fact that 50% of our city is young. A lot of them first-time home buyers.
Absolutely.
And I think we want to start there right now because the number one question, in your opinion, when we've got a young buyer approaching us, what is that question?
It's when is the right time to buy? We get asked this all of the time.
Every day. And what do you think? Young
You know,
one?
my take is when I'm talking to clients, especially first-time home buyers, my short answer is the time when the best time is when you are ready to buy. So there's a lot of factors that go into that, right? One thing we know to be true is we can't time the market. We can't control the interest rate. We can't control inventory.
That's right.
So I like to coach my clients that the time is when you feel that you have money saved up to go towards a down payment. You're in a stable part of your life where you are ready to take on home ownership and everything that goes along with that.
Absolutely.
And then meeting with a lender and having the right realtor to help guide you and, you know, put together your expectations and, you know, what the reality is.
That's a great answer. So as we are listening to our buyer audience, generally speaking, the lack of inventory has been chronic for a long time. And now, granted, we're in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and we do a lot of relocation work nationally and internationally. So we're talking about young people right now buying into their first home, but this applies to everybody.
Correct.
How do you think, and how do we as a team navigate lack of inventory and helping them align themselves with the right property? Because there is a struggle out there finding real estate. So how do we do that?
Absolutely. That's a great question and something that, you know, we like to say that we specialize in is networking. So whether it's a first-time home buyer or relocation, whomever, you know, that might look like writing letters to a neighborhood, door knocking.
Number two.
Those are creative solutions that really work.
They
And,
do work.
you know, all sorts of marketing, mailers, different materials, but I'd say that's kind of the number one. And
Yeah,
utilizing
I
all
agree.
the agents that we know citywide and seeing what they might have that's off market.
It is a collaborative effort for sure, and the networking power in our city, we're really lucky to be able to have those relationships. Honestly, it's knocking on the door of the avatar. That's what we always say.
Yep.
We put this team around you, and we figure out what is it you're trying to find, where do you want to find it, and we literally go into that community and go track it down, and a lot of our matches are accomplished that way. Don't you think?
I do. I think there's something about a real person knocking on your door or writing a letter because we all get junk mail. Everybody gets a letter from an investor or a realtor trying to buy your house. So making sure that they understand that you have a specific buyer who is a match for that property just goes that extra step.
So number two, why do you think sellers are willing to sell privately, but they don't want to go public? That's a big question we have. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to the motivation of the seller because we work with sellers who feel that way as well as, you know, not. But I think it really comes down to the situation, the story. So we see that a lot with people who are downsizing. Maybe they have a lot of stuff in their home.
That's the number one reason, by the way.
And they're not ready to go public because they don't know what to do with all their stuff.
Well, that is a transition, and we'll jump back into this in a minute, but stuff management and dealing with accumulation is a big and chronic issue out there.
Yeah.
And I would say, I think we're at 40% right now of our state and city are empty nesting. I call it right sizing. That means they've been in their home 15, 20, 30, 40 plus years, a long time. That's a huge part of our inventory in the city. So we'll jump back to these pursuits, if you will, of finding homes for our buyers. But how do we help those sellers? What do we do?
Yeah, I mean, we put a team around them. So
Literally.
yeah, I mean, and that can be as small or as large as the client needs or wants. But you know, the closing phase, we partner with them all the time, and they're a great resource to come in and help pack, purge, even do the entire move, clean out process.
Anything they need, really.
Exactly.
Where people don't think, and everyone's time is valuable, right? That they say, oh, there's an expense to that. Well, your time is valuable, and you've been sitting in a position where you could be monetizing on the sale of your property because there's a need for your home right now. So perhaps putting a team around how to do that, so we can help you with the stuff management component, whether that means you're purging half of your home. That could mean donating, the management of packing and where it goes if they're trying to figure out what the next step is. That decision doesn't need to be made right now today. We have solutions around that as well. Dealing with the cleaning component. And then eventually, once we get the house purged out, the designing and staging of the home as it relates to the marketing plan, which we'll talk about today, all come back full circle to a highest and best outcome for the seller and serving the buyer need, which is very real right now. So with the young people, I would say, Steph, and you, I'm sure, agree, there is a way for them to navigate their way into home ownership right now. We do a lot of work with our lenders in-house and studying that up. Explain to people, explain to our young buyer right now, what's the least amount of money they could put down if they wanted to buy a $300,000 home. Let's use that as an example.
So for a conventional loan, you can put as little as 5% down. There are also programs, you know, FHA programs or first-time home buyer, you know, assistance programs that might even allow you to do less or give you money in your pocket to go towards that.
Absolutely.
So it's never too early to start talking to a lender. Even if you think, you know, you're thinking 2 years out, start there and they can help guide you with what you need to do to get to the position that you want to be.
That's a great answer. Tell us about gift funds.
Gift funds are huge. We see a lot of that as well. So if you have family in your life that want to, you know, gift money towards a home purchase, that's a great opportunity. If you don't have that money sitting liquid or, you know, maybe you work an unconventional job where it's harder to get approved for the, you know, amount.
For the pre-approval piece of it. So as gift, I know for the young people out there, gift funds for parents out there or grandparents, that is a tax deductible option. So that's something worthwhile visiting with your accountant about. More importantly, the spend out there with the rental world is extremely expensive. So there can be a long game here if you partner with family in getting yourself into something that has a consistent equity gain each year. The Twin Cities specifically is showing a level appreciation of 3 to 4% a year. And when you look at the continuation of interest with our city and our community and our state from the relocation component, our value bases are going to keep going up. So there is no better time than now to consider buying a home if you've been on the fence, for sure. So that covers our young people. Yes, it's time to buy something. So if you have questions, call us on that. Now let's talk about relocation because it's another big one.
It is.
Maybe sampling the people you're working with right now in DC and how you're advising them and how you're navigating a long distance move for them right now.
Yeah. So we do a lot of relocation and A big piece of that is helping families identify where they want to move within the city,
Right.
and then managing the expectation. What can they get for their money here versus where they're coming from? So, yeah, I have some clients right now. We're navigating a move from DC to the Twin Cities, and we've identified a few locations. But, as someone being boots on the ground, having to coach them through what that lifestyle looks like in these different pockets.
Right.
And then what the real estate looks like in those pockets.
It is interesting too, because when we're relocating our clients from the East and West Coast, we're very valuable here. Our opportunity for you, if you are coming in from another part of the country right now, we have a lot of housing opportunity. They can buy into a lot more house here.
Yes.
For sure. So when we're crafting a management system for long distance, sometimes you can't be here, and we've navigated a lot of successful transaction work. We actually relocated a couple and their family from the UK recently, and a good part of that happened virtually. So how do you manage that?
Yeah, so we can do virtual showings, or if they're fortunate enough to have family that live where we are, we can meet with them. We can do all of the above. But that's really the power of, now we're 2024. We have the technology to do that, and we can really get them a good sense of the home without even stepping foot.
And sometimes the opportunities out there can't wait for you. So we can find that right, perfect blend of location, aesthetic, and school districts oftentimes are driving that. And we're able to perhaps wrap a little love around the house. So let's talk a little bit about, it doesn't have to be perfect, because we can build a contracting team. We've got a design, build, and renovation background on our team that's rich. And we can customize a team around that home and your story to help elevate the aesthetic. So give everybody an example of how we would do that.
Absolutely. And I will also, start with no home is perfect.
No, it's not.
Right. So, oftentimes we have to help bring that vision to our clients, because they might not be able to see past an orange wall or, something that really is
Floral,
minor.
Purple,
lavender, which
oak.
is an easy change that, and it does come with a price tag. So we bring in our contracting team. We're able to provide a high level estimate and recommendations that fits, the end result that they're looking for. So whether that's as simple as a painting crew or, a full general contractor, we have those people, and we've vetted them out, which is also, that's
huge.
A different story for a different episode, but people that you can trust that do a quality work and will complete it.
That's an important thing to touch on, Steph, because we're in a market right now where labor is a real problem. Finding great contractors that are reliable and will be responsive and timely, and vetting materials. There's a lot of ways, shapes and forms of identifying ways to put a beautiful compilation together, if you will, as it relates to design without blowing the budget. So as an example, and both of the clients we're talking about right now are dealing with this now or will be, we are bringing the team in advance during the inspection period. We're vetting your bids, so you know what you're dealing with, identifying any issues that might be costly or at least have a monetary investment during the inspection period, so we can negotiate that
prior to being locked into a contract.
Correct. And it does hold merit, because we're known for bringing that level, that aptitude, if you will, of knowledge to the table, and it's reliable, and it helps get everybody to a place of closing on something that A, serves the client's purposes, and B, allows the seller to actually get to the closing table because of the knowledge level. So if you are relocating, this is definitely a service that could be something that can help close the loop on you struggling right now to find the right fit. In many cases, these properties we're finding are private.
And oftentimes we can complete the work that you're talking about prior to them getting here to move in. So that's kind of the unique piece of relocation too. We can get that done or close to before you step foot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Now we're going to talk about the merging of two families. We've done a lot of that as well. Steph and I have had a lot of creativity the past year.
2023 was a year.
Well, and it's normal. Like
Yes.
all these things are normal. It's just as you work through more and more stories out there, the complexities of life move have become more complicated for a myriad of reasons. Now, we are seeing a lot more merging of families where there's divorces or separations, or they were never married, whatever it might be.
Yep.
And you're now merging households. So you've been dating for some time. You've got children in both,
Both households.
yeah, both households have kiddos, right? And then you've got the desire to merge households. So how do we navigate that one? That's a big one.
Yeah, I mean, like anything, we start with the consultation, right? We sit down, lifestyle meeting rather, and really get to the heart of what's the goal. Sometimes that means one partner moving into the other one's home and merging families there.
Yeah. And then renovating that home and selling the other one.
Or sometimes it means selling two homes and moving into a fresh new space. So helping guide, and, a couple things go into that, figuring out what is the end goal, but also what's the budget? How can we toggle all of these moving parts?
It's the pendulum, we call it. So, and in many cases, people do want to take the equity. You want to take the equity out of your current home and put it into to the next home. Fortunately, in this market, because of the desire for real estate, we're able to swing that pendulum successfully. What that means is you've got a home right now. You know that you want to merge households. You want to sell this property. So in many cases, what we've done is we've moved you entirely out of your home into the other home. We've got, done the prep work on it, staged it, sell it, close it. Now you've got that bucket of money, we call it. That bucket of money now is resourceful in helping navigate the acquisition. And perhaps we put a bridge loan on the home you're in. That's one of a myriad of ways we can pull this off. Now, on that acquisition, we're back to the earlier conversation around finding the home. Finding the home, because you may not be finding what you're looking for. And many people don't think outside the box. They're thinking they need this perfect thing, or we're going back to our original conversation around knocking on the door of the avatar.
Yep.
And I would say 25% of our year last year was that. So what do you find is the biggest obstacle mentally for people, the fear factor, I call it, that we can help them with when you're working with that story?
Yeah, I think, bringing them solutions is half of it, especially when you have two people who are starting to blend families. You need someone who can, really give them honest expectations and feedback and really bring that vision to life. I think that's
the biggest thing.
The biggest thing.
Feeling, the ability, like I say, there's faith in the process. You're taking a leap of faith and trusting in the team that you put around your story. They're all stories. Every one of you out there have a story, and the need to move. And everybody's moving at some point, right? We all know this. At some point, there's a trigger, I call it, that infuses the confidence to make the move. So our biggest faction, other than our young people in our city, in our country, and that's a big number, is, again, going back to our empty nesters. So our empty nesters out there, I think, are a big piece, in my opinion, of the business model that we work with. How do you navigate advising our empty nesters? In fact, we can use your parents as an example because they're nearing that point.
Yeah.
And their entire ecosystem is nearing that point. What are they always talking about? And what do you think the tipping factor is for that audience to make a decision to make a life move?
Yeah, I think that demographic is really in a unique position where they know a move is coming. They, in some ways, are excited by it, but I think mostly they don't know what that looks like or how to get from A to B.
Exactly.
So having that sit down, what does this next phase of life and lifestyle look like for you? Because it could go so many ways, whether we move someone into a smaller home or maybe they really want to buy that condo in Arizona and then have a condo here that they can bounce back and forth between.
Right.
So really getting to the heart of the desire and then the A to B is really stressful and overwhelming to them, but
Right.
not for us.
No.
So putting that team around them and saying, this is how you get from A to B,
Right.
and just laying it out is
really the support system again. We have a listing coming on here at the end of the month in Woodbury. They've been in their home 33 years, and that's oftentimes the case for us. They've had a place down in Arizona for quite a while. There's many of our Minnesotans that I would say almost all of you want to stay or have roots of some kind here.
Yep.
Many of you have a lake place, many lake places still. Many of you are completely done with single family living and would consider a condo, but haven't found what you want or are sure what that looks like.
Yep.
We have a solution for that, which is really honestly renting for a year while you kind of play around and figure that out.
Yep.
We are working in Arizona and California. We do actually
Florida.
have Florida. Florida is a big play right now. Literally Southwest Florida is like a mini Minnesota. Yeah. And we're actively in that market now. Warm climate options are absolutely a conversation we have with you, and we can help with acquisition on that front. I think most importantly, this is a great year if you've been considering selling your home to sell it. Don't worry about what's next because we have solutions for that, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to buy a home right now. It's okay. I always say to people, you lived in this for so many years. It's okay to go have fun for a little bit and not own the next place. There are storage options.
Yep, there's a lot of options.
There are temporary housing options. And there's a lot of, I would say, lack of awareness on what and how to navigate what you've been living with for so long. A lot of people can maybe feel okay with making it truly a fresh start. And the little bit that you want to keep, we can find a place for that so you're not feeling like that next step has to be a permanent step, really.
Absolutely.
So we've touched on young people and first-time home ownership. We've touched on really that relocation component or midlife where you've got the children component and the empty nesters. What are we missing?
What are we missing? We work with so many different types of people. I guess the other would be the bump up buyer, you know, those buyers who moved into their first or second home, but now they have more kids, they have a growing family, and they're looking to step up into a little bit of a bigger home.
So we are doing new build. We have a number of GCs we work with, new build, new construction, or renovating that next space because you're having a hard time quantifying getting the perfect space for that next tier, and it doesn't make sense to necessarily add on to what you have now. So we do what's called a love it or list it appointment. It's a real thing, love it or list it. And we figure out what does it take to stay in your current home. We do that. Can that happen? And are you pricing yourself out of your neighborhood by doing that? Or do we put some beauty on, wrap a bow around your current space so we can get best and highest, and then take that equity and reinvest in something bigger and remodel that? We do a lot of that.
We do. Yeah.
I think that's a big one. And a lot of people aren't even aware that that is an option. And if it's GC'd correctly and you're being given the right information and we're able to help you seek it out again, often privately, that will be something that can help navigate how to enter into the new year with a solution for those of you in that position. The last bucket I want to talk about is our investment.
Oh, yeah,
clients.
absolutely.
So we've been a member of Minnesota Commercial Association of Realtors for over 20 years. We do investment and commercial work, all different kinds of investment. But I think for the largest audience, duplexes, fourplexes, multi-use is the big one. So I would circle back to young people on that because I think it is a big solution.
Absolutely.
Being able to cash flow your first home and make it an investment property is something maybe you want to consider if it's a first time purchase. How would they do that?
Yeah. Or on the flip side, they could even buy a single family home and maybe they're renting out to their friend, which just helps ease their mortgage, things like that. But yeah, getting into a duplex,
Yeah.
you can owner occupy, renting out one side. There's a lot of different opportunities
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
Yeah. And we work with some great lenders that we can connect our clients with. And
Yeah. In fact, I think the lowest right now on a commercial, well, it'd be an investment property. Even if you're owner occupying, I think we can get you down to as low as 3%.
correct.
On an entry point on that. So that would be something for the first time home buyer to consider if you're looking to build an investment portfolio as well.
Yep.
Eventually, with the equity gains we're seeing in the marketplace, you can eventually consider a bridge loan to help leverage the equity that you build on your property over the next 2 to 5 years to get you into your next property, if that's a consideration for
and
you.
in theory, hold on to your investment property once you move on to that next phase and set
yeah.
yourself up for long term.
Absolutely. I think that's brilliant. So, is there anything else you want to share today that you've been dealing with in your current portfolio of work? Steph's a rock star, folks. You got to look her up because she's doing a lot of beautiful work in the Twin Cities right now. Do you want to share with any brilliant or crazy story that's happened in the last few months that would infuse any like inspiration for those that think, oh, my story is too crazy, I can't possibly make a move right now?
You know, we deal with so many unique stories. I think right now, relocation has been a fun one. Maybe not crazy, but I will be out door knocking in the next week for some clients doing that. So stay tuned. If I have some success, I'd love to share that.
What's the number one thing you're looking for right now for your buyers that you're hunting down right now?
You know, right now we are seeing the demand pick up. So I was in a multiple offer the other week for some clients. So I think the biggest thing right now is I have a lot of clients looking in Edina. They want to be in Edina. They have a set price point and the inventory is not there. So having to do these creative solutions has been really huge.
That might be one more thing we got to talk about because we're moving back into a multiple offer market right now.
We are.
So let's use, because I was helping you were traveling on your vacation, and we'll just throw out the price point. This one was it was underpriced at $1.495 million. For those that's underpriced. Well, for what the product was, they priced it, and the location was amazing. There's a break point in our city in terms of the tipping point. As it relates to your avatar, your audience, and in what we'll call luxury, 1.5 is it. So if you've got a luxury product in that price point, if we dip you right below or right at 1.5, you're going to nearly double your audience, your viewership, and the market will organically throw you into a multiple offer, which is what happened here. How do you navigate a multiple offer as a buyer? Well, you got to be best in class, and each of you have a limitation, right, on what you're willing to do. We are a proponent to pre-inspection.
Yep.
So we can come in as a non-contingent offer. That would be number one.
Yep.
Providing the seller with their ideal closing date. So asking, what is their ideal? What's the story here? How can we serve this up on a platter so it's advantageous to them, works for your client. So providing flexibility on the closing date. And then, of course, there's the pricing conversation. The pricing conversation is all about you as the buyer comfort. What's your comfort level in terms of price point? And then this is what we say to you. Regardless of the price point, we're going to take incremental ups, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 increments. If you lost this property for this amount of money, how would you feel about that? Right. Would you feel loss? And really think about this, future cast it. Understand what the value of this property is and think the long game. Don't think about what's just going on right in front of you right now today, because those incremental amounts seem like a lot, but they're not. They're really not. even if you went in, let's say in this case, 50 to 100,000 over asking, you're like, oh my gosh, that's so much money. Is it? When you look at the value of that property in the next 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, or longer.
And of course, that's at the price point that we're talking about 1.5 or just under. Yep.
So in that case, and we aren't telling the viewers here what the end product was or where it is, where do you think that one landed? If we're waiting for it to close out, but I believe it went for 100,000 over asking.
I would believe at minimum.
Yep. And I believe it was non-contingent in inspection.
Correct.
And I believe they gave them whatever closing date they wanted.
Yep.
To win the day. That is a multiple offer, and that's the reality. And that's just something we coach you through.
Yep.
And it is what it is.
And it's a numbers game. Sometimes it takes a couple tries to mentally for the buyer to get there, or for us to find just the right fit.
And I always say to people, there isn't just one home out there, so there is a little bit of psyche in all of this. Like I say, I could sell you 10 homes this year if we really wanted to. So I think understanding that with acquisition of a new home, as you go through this journey, being advised in a real, productive way that puts you into a winning situation while still within your comfort zone is the true takeaway of the day.
Absolutely. And of course, working with a team that you trust. So when we guide our clients, we're also telling their story. So making sure that we share that with the receiving end.
There's merit to that. I know they have all these rules now about sharing, but listen, this is your home you're talking about. It is emotional. Whether you're a seller or a buyer, everybody wants to know your story. Each other, you're sharing information. You're trying to put yourself in the very best outcome possible, and that's our goal.
Yeah, and sharing the appropriate information, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I love that. That was a lot of intelligence, Steph.
Oh, thank you.
Great job.
I learned from the best.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there, and we're happy to deep dive into any of these topics with you.
Absolutely.
We're here on Fly the Coop to really serve you up little nuggets. And today, it's a real estate story touching on all the different ways you can navigate a market in 2024, which is going to be a vibrant and explosive year in our opinion.
Yes,
I really do think it will be. So if you're interested in hearing more about our stories here on Fly the Coop, please do hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you join us every single week. We drop on Thursdays. Thank you so much, Steph. Thank you, honey.
Thank you.
Really appreciate this beautiful lady, and we will see you next time on Fly the Coop. Thank you.